Last month's inflation numbers are worse than what the White House expected. CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe shows us what Americans are facing and how the president is responding.
Today's record inflationary report means more economic pain ahead for Americans. And Wall Street felt it too as the markets tumbled. Costs are up on food, rent, and used cars. And of course, gas, which is up almost 50% from a year ago.
Never thought I'd see it go up that much that fast.
It's skyrocketing no matter where you go.
American households are now paying $460 more every month to buy the same things they did last year.
I understand Americans are anxious, and they're anxious for good reason.
President Biden today visited the port of Los Angeles, where the backlog of idling ships and cargo containers has eased, but had little effect on record prices. Mr. Biden said the war in Ukraine is partly to blame.
I'm doing everything in my power to blunt Putin's price hike and bring down the cost of gas and food.
It's cold comfort for customers and businesses alike.
We are seeing increases of up to 500%.
Rosa Peralta and Hector Serrano, who run Doña Estela's food truck, cut staff in half and are passing the soaring cost of ingredients onto their clientele.
Paying at least $30 more per box of avocados.
Yes. Inflation's now a full-blown political crisis for the White House and Democrats heading into the midterm elections. 8 in 10 Americans say the economy's in bad shape, and consumer confidence today hit a new low. It's now up to the Federal Reserve, which is likely to boost interest rates in hopes of pushing down prices. Hector and Rosa say it can't happen fast enough.
We're still in business, but we're struggling.
And Ed O'Keefe joins me now for more. So, Ed, the president continues to tout his administration's unemployment and jobs numbers, even as Americans grapple with rising gas and food prices, as you reported. So how might this affect Democrats and the president come November?
Well, if you look at polling, Elaine, it continues to show that voters are holding them responsible for this, even though there's very little a president and Congress can practically do to drive down inflation. That's mostly got to be left to the central bankers at the Federal Reserve. But it's partly because they're the ones in charge for the most part. Now, they turn around and say we'd be able to get legislation passed that would drive down prices and make child care and health care and other issues more affordable if Republicans would agree to do so. And there is some general validity to the idea that Republicans are slow walking or refusing to cooperate, in part because they understand it's good politics for them going into an election season where they're likely to make gains, at least in the House. But at this point, the White House startled by these numbers, rattled by the fact that it's going to mean even more political pain for them. And it's going to require them to get the president out there as often as possible talking about this, even though there's very little he himself can do about it.
Meantime, the Biden administration is dropping its COVID-19 testing requirement for international travelers entering the U.S. The rule is set to expire Sunday at midnight. What's behind this move?
Well, the travel industry would tell you it should have been done months ago as COVID-19 cases started to drop. At this point, it's because the CDC believes it's no longer necessary, given that infection rates and vaccination rates are strong enough around the rest of the world as people come in. But this has almost become an afterthought for people who may not be traveling internationally and don't have to worry about this. Remember, it was a big move when it happened because it threw up a big barrier to entry, literally, for thousands, if not millions, of people who might want to or need to visit the United States each year. The travel industry had made the point that going into Europe, the European Union had essentially lifted these testing requirements a while back, and it was perhaps compelling tourists to avoid coming into the United States or business travelers to come into the U.S. because of the restriction. It'll be gone by next week, and the travel industry at least hopes it happens pretty smoothly. And of course, it comes with a recommendation from the CDC that believes things are okay at this point.
All right. Well, you have been covering President Biden as he spent the past few days there in Los Angeles at the Summit of the Americas. He's met with leaders from Central and South America, as well as the Caribbean and Canada. So, Ed, what are some of the big takeaways?
Well, that they got together to talk about a host of issues at this point, but nothing really concrete that suggests they're all going to take some big collective action together, something specific. This afternoon here in Los Angeles, they signed what the White House is calling the Los Angeles Declaration, which is a generally broadly written document that essentially lays out an agreement for all these countries to accept each other's refugees as needed amid an ongoing migration flow, not just across the U.S.-Mexico border, important to keep this in mind, but also into Canada, because it has some of the most generous refugee and citizenship programs in the world, and also ongoing, more regionalized migration. migration out of Venezuela because of the political strife there into Colombia, Guyana, Peru, and Chile, from Haiti to Mexico and Central America, from politically troubled Nicaragua into neighboring Costa Rica, and of course from the Northern Triangle of Mexico up here into the United States, making the point that this is something that is not unique to the U.S. and Mexico or the U.S. and Central America, but in fact happening across the region because of political strife, because of economic issues, because of climate change, because of the pandemic. And that's why the rest of the conversation was about those issues: boosting vaccine supply and healthcare expertise across the region in countries that need it from countries that have it, conversations about the environment between the president and the Brazilian leader, broader conversations about climate change, which is part of what drives people out of their home countries and to other places for better economic opportunity, and then just a general discussion about a regional economic framework that includes billions of dollars being invested by the private sector. There were several big company CEOs also here in LA this week to meet with these leaders to talk about ways they can invest in economies, boost the wages of women and families especially, so that somebody in those families isn't compelled to go try to make a living in another country.
So many facets when it comes to that migration issue. Ed O'Keefe reporting from Los Angeles. Ed, as always, thank you.
Take care.